Welcome to Verbum Bible Software. In this video, we want to get you started, and that means that we need to do a flyby of all those features and functions that live on the left side of your screen. So come with me to the toolbar where it says Home and Library and Search. If yours doesn't look like this, come down to the arrow at the bottom of the screen, make sure that it's expanded so that we can see the labels next to each of these icons. And what I want you to do is click on Bible so that Verbum launches your preferred Bible. It opens it up in a pane here on the right. Now, this is a pane that I can reposition. For example, I might drag and drop just by gripping the title and now releasing it over here on the left side of the screen. I can also redimension that tile simply by stretching it. I can make it even full screen in this way. Now, that is one way to begin accessing my Bible. But to be honest, where Verbum really shines is not just when the Bible is read alone, but when it's working together with so many different resources. So let's begin building up towards that. I just want to add one resource, the Catechism. How do I grab the Catechism out of my library? Well, as you might imagine, I just click Library over here and watch what happens. See how a panel opens here to the right? But I have 1,162 results. I'm not sure I want to go scrolling through each of these. Let's redimension things first of all. Notice how it's kind of narrow. I can stretch that out wide, and I'm going to want to do that, especially because once I add things like this filter bar here on the left, I'm going to want to have a little more space. And now when I click outside of my screen, and now open back my library, notice how it maintains these broader dimensions. That's especially helpful if I move out of the tile view, which is where I am now, and into the details view. Notice there are some options here. The cover view is one of them, and that shows me very little information. I can change to the tile view, and that's that kind of middle road, but then the details view gives me lots more. And this is where it's helpful to have your screen expanded as much as you can. Now, again, I could scroll down and go get my catechism in this way, but I might be inclined just to type in the title right here and hit enter. And notice that there's my catechism, and I can launch into it just by clicking the title, and here I am in the catechism. Notice though that Verbum opens it up in the same tile as my Catholic Bible. So it wouldn't be great if I could see them both together. Again, just grab the title of the catechism over here and now drag and drop on the right side of my screen. Now I see both side by side just as I like. Now, what if I want to set and save this so I can access this layout in the future? I know it's not a very sophisticated layout yet, but let's grab the principle here, because anything you can create, you can save and access again later if you save it as a layout. So come to Layouts, and now we want to save as a named layout. Let's call this Catechism Study, and hit Enter. And now if you notice on the left side of my screen where I have saved layouts, one of them is Catechism Study. That's what I'm in right now. Now you might want to make a different layout where you have homily prep and all your tools for making homilies are open. Or maybe you have a small screen where you're working on a laptop and you need very few things open. Or maybe you have a workplace where you can access Verbum, but now you've got lots more space, and so you can have more resources open. Again, you can save these arranged tiled layouts right here in this section called Layouts. All right, so let's exit out of this. I can close any particular resource just by clicking the X at the top of the tab. Watch what happens when we close all the tabs. See how I'm automatically brought back to the home page? And what do we have here at the home page? Well, a dashboard is up here at the top, and I've got these cards that tell me they're like launching pads into a particular type of study. So if I want to study the saint of the day, this card can help. If I want to build a homily, this card over here can help. But if I want to add customized cards, I can come to this plus tab on the right, and now I'm going to scroll down to Layout, and look what's here. The saved layout called catechism study that we just made. If I add it to my homepage, it appears in this way. And now watch what happens as I click. I'm back in my Bible and my catechism. Now, we can build on this principle. We can see more sophisticated layouts. That's what we're going to do next. Let's close all. I don't have to go one by one clicking these X's. All at once, I can hit this button and close absolutely everything. And now I'm back at the home page. I can come to this plus tab, and if you've not done this already, you're going to want to add a lectionary. Come to Catholic Daily Readings and choose Add. And since this is so helpful, look, I'm going to drag it right to the front of the list. Let's launch today's liturgy layout, today's lectionary layout. Look what happens. A number of resources are open. On the left, Catholic Daily Readings tells me all of the readings for today's liturgy, Ecclesiastes, a psalm, the gospel. Notice as I click these live links, the Bibles here on the right, they all navigate to Luke 9, 18, and following. I love that I can do that all in one instance. But it's not just the Bible. Even my commentary down below, it's open to the pertinent passage here in Luke 9. In addition to commentaries, on the left and just behind the Catholic Daily Readings, we have the prayers from the Roman Missal. And I can even see the opening prayer for St. Pius of Pietrelcina. I love that. This can help me in my own meditation, my own homily building. Along the way, I can see even the liturgical prayers. Now, there's a lot more here, and we can't get at everything in an introductory overview, but there is, for example, the Cited By tool. I won't explain, but I'll tell you this. This is a tip you can put in your pocket. Look, anytime you don't know what something is, just click it, and then come to the panel menu here at the very bottom and choose Verbum Help, or if you prefer, just hit F1, and it's going to open Verbum Help, and it'll open exactly to that passage which explains that tool. In this case, Cited By tool. What is it? How do I use it? Well, I can read here. Okay, I'm going to close all of this. You can do more exploring if you like, but let's close everything. And notice how the home page flies down. At any time you can do that. You can click your home page. It'll fly up and away. Click it again, and it'll drop down and over anything you might have open. Now, are you satisfied with the cards that are up here? If you want more, again, you can always come here, come to layout, for example. You might want to add some of these quick start layouts, Bible and a commentary, Greek study, Hebrew study, passage study. Add as many or as few as you like. If at any time you find that they're not helpful, it's so easy just to remove that card. Again, make sure that you make your home page serve you. If you use it, keep it there. If you don't, get rid of it. Now look below the section called the dashboard. Below that, there's a section called Explore. And here, think of this as like a newspaper, and it's populated with articles of my choosing. So I can come to this gear to the right, and if you'll notice right now, all I have are selections from my library. And that might be of interest to you. It might not. But you might be particularly interested in, I don't know, pre-orders and pre-pubs. And so you might click these boxes. Or maybe the Verbum blog or Verbum training videos or a verse of the day. At any time, you can click on any blank space in the homepage, and now Verbum repopulates this Explore section. So look, I have things about pre-pub and things about pre-order from my library, etc. So make sure you check this out and make it customized for your use. All right, that's the home page. What do we have next? I want to jump to the search panel. Okay, so just below here, notice that we have a search pane open up. As I click search, I'm going to expand this really large. I know this could get quite complex very quickly, and we have a whole video and even a series of videos on searching, but let's just do something simple. I'm going to search within my Bible. I'm going to search for the terms blood and covenant and hit enter. And notice that Verbum found across the canon, in Exodus, in Ezekiel, in Zechariah, in the Gospels, in Paul, and throughout the New Testament, instances where these two terms appear, blood and covenant. I love that I can get results like this. I can do many more searches. And if you want some ideas on how to start searching, again, just you can always come to the left side of the tab and you'll find table of contents, as it were, over here on the left. And I can expand these. Let's see, what can we do? A person speaks about something. Sure, let's do that. Let's see where Jesus, for example, speaks about bread. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter and search. Notice what Verbum created, a very complex query that I didn't know how to create, but I simply followed the recipe and it cooked it up for me. I love that. Speaker, person, Jesus intersects bread. And here on the right, I have all those instances where Jesus speaks about bread. All right, so you can play around doing some searching, but I'm going to go ahead and close that now that you know where the search tool lives. What else do we have here? Well, on the toolbar, of course, we have the Go box. It's inviting me to look up a passage or a topic. So sure, let's do both of those things. Let's see, a passage, Matthew 26:26. I'm not going to hit enter. I'll wait for the drop down. And notice the first thing on the list is open passage study layout to Matthew 26:26. As I hit enter, Verbum goes to my library to fish out all kinds of fun resources. Look at what it's opened up in instance. We have the passage guide on the left side of the screen. We have some Bibles open here at the top right. A commentary, it looks like, over here, and then the information panel. What do we have inside of this passage guide? Well, one of these tabs opens a bunch of commentaries, and I love that I can just click any one of them, and now the Catena Aurea of St. Thomas Aquinas opens up. If I'm interested instead in this particular resource or that one, I click, I open. I want some more, they're ready at hand. I love that. Okay, beyond commentaries, we have liturgy just below. And I learned that on Palm Sunday, in year A, we read this particular passage. That's kind of fun to know. All right, what else? Cross-references. I get the top 5 cross-references immediately at hand. I want a dozen or so more. Here they are. I can navigate to them so quickly. Something hard to do, right, in your physical Bible, but in a digital platform like this one, very, very easy. All right, what else do we get? Let's see. We're not going to go into everything here, but I will point out the ancient literature tool quickly. I love this. I can see that Matthew 26:26 is treated here in the Didache, and I can open up that resource. It's quoted by the fathers of the church like St. Augustine, St. Jerome, St. Ambrose, and I can open any of these resources and begin reading where that quotation is found. How easy is that? Too good. Okay, so let's close this down and see what else there is to do in that Go box. Because if you remember, it's not just passages, but even topics. So let's put in the topic of the Eucharist and hit enter. Okay, so this is going to open now a number of resources. It looks like it opened the fact book, a topic guide, and other resources. But notice something. It didn't choose the word that I used in my query, Eucharist. Instead, it knew to look up Lord's Supper. That's the entry in the fact book. But notice that it is pertinent information. The key article, in fact, is entitled Eucharist. It's clear that this is curated information. Like this is a top article from a prioritized resource of mine. It's saying inside of this encyclopedia of theology, you're going to want to check out this article on the Eucharist. And I can, of course, click it and open it up in another tab as well. But just below key article, again, I have some key passages that are easily accessible, and even many more if I want to continue. Things related in Scripture to the Eucharist. But what else? Below, I have some sermons by St. Augustine, St. John Chrysostom. Scrolling down, I can even find things in the bookstore that I might want to purchase. Look at this. See also a topic guide on the Lord's Supper. I'm invited right there in the fact book to open a topic guide. And in fact, it's already anticipated that I might want to do that in another tab. The topic guide is already open to the Lord's Supper. Now, this is lots of fun, especially these here right at the top. Let me show you this. Topic. As we expand this section of the topic guide, we see inside of the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary, there's an entry on communion. And there's also one on the Lord's Supper. The Eucharist is here in the Catholic Bible Dictionary. I love that I can click any one of these resources and even find more. I'm going to dive quickly into my topic in this way. Beyond that, the Catholic Topical Index. This is quite good. Okay, watch this. Let's expand that section called Eucharist inside the Catholic Topical Index. How does a Catholic study a particular topic? Well, here's how. He begins with sacred scripture. And here we have a curated list of a handful or so of Old Testament passages, and then New Testament passages, John 6, Matthew 26, Luke 22, Mark 14, 1 Corinthians 10, etc. I didn't know to look at all of these, but somebody anticipated that this is where I should go. I love that I'm pointed in the right direction. But not just in scripture. The Catholic keeps reading. We want to go to the Catechism, number 1322. No, then number 2176. Then number 1211. See how we're bouncing around in the Catechism? I'm so glad somebody did this curating for me. I can see inside of sources of Catholic dogma like Denzinger, Schoenmetzinger. Maybe I want to see some papal encyclicals like Old and New, or from the Second Vatican Council. I can see here we have Lumen Gentium 3, for example, or Lumen Gentium 11. It's so easy to navigate to canon law or ecclesiastical writers like St. Justin Martyr, Tertullian, Origen, and see where they're talking about my topic. Notice it's not just one passage now, it's broader than that to speak. Where are they speaking about the Eucharist? Where are they speaking about communion? Okay, so I might want to come back to this Catholic Topical Index. I can see that it's very, very powerful indeed. All right, now I'm not going to spend more time in the Go box. Let's continue. Let's continue to see what else we've got. We've already met the fact book, okay, so you know what that's about. Let's come down to documents. I tell you what, let's close everything and we'll move into documents now. See how a tab opens? It's empty because we're brand new to Verbum and we need to make some new documents. Documents are simply those things that you create right here in Verbum. Bibliography, canvas, clippings, homily, passage list, prayer list, reading plan. Let's do that. Let's make a reading plan. We can choose a predefined reading plan, but we might also like to generate a reading plan of our own. So let's see, what should we read through? I tell you what, let's find a resource. Maybe I was interested in that Ecclesia, the Eucharistia that I just saw earlier. And I'm going to pick this resource up from Pope St. John Paul II. And let's see, instead of 1 year, no, I'm going to read it in, 4 weeks. So there we go. Let's hit start. And look what is generated. It tells me which numbers I need to do each day. I can see that in a calendar. I can see that as a list, whatever. And now that I've created this new reading plan, watch what happens when I close out of this and return to my homepage. I love that I get this card right here on my dashboard saying, hey, Father Andrew, go read as you planned to do. You need to read numbers 1 and 2 of this encyclical. And when I come to the end of the reading, I can mark it as done. And there I can see what's waiting for me tomorrow to read according to my reading plan. Okay, so that's one of the documents that I might like to create. You can have some fun playing with documents. I'm going to keep going, though, to show you what else resides over here in your toolbar. We have guides and workflows. And here we find the big and sophisticated tools, very rich resources like the Passage Guide, Bible Word Study, Theology Guide, Exegetical Guide. These are power tools and all the tools that they have inside of them. So, for example, we saw the topic guide earlier. Watch this. I can scroll down and I can see all those sections of the topic guide. Now these are individual tools that I might like to open. Look what's here, the Catholic Topical Index. I tell you what, I like this one so much, I'm going to drag and drop it right here in the shortcuts section. And now look what I've created, a little shortcut to the Catholic Topical Index, or the CTI, as I'll call it for short. And now I can access that instrument at any time, and I can run a search on the Lord's Supper and navigate to those tools that we saw earlier. Okay, isn't that great? You can drag absolutely any resource over here into your shortcut bar, like the Catechism, for example, and now you can have easy access to it. Okay, so let's close that, and what do we have down below? Tools. Let's see. Inside of tools, the first one on our list is the Atlas. That's kind of fun. Let's open this up. I'll tell you what, if you scroll right to the top, you can see that I can choose Biblical World. Let's check out the Biblical World in the pre-patriarchal period. And so here it is. I see this great map. I can navigate to any number of events, like for example, Abraham and Isaac on Mount Moriah. I choose that and we zoom in to that. We can see that itinerary that Abraham made towards Mount Moriah. I love that we can see things like this. We could filter this atlas, by the way, according to passages even, like John chapter 6. Notice I can jump to John 6 and see where Jesus feeds 5,000, where he walks on water, where he teaches, like where he teaches in the synagogue there in Capernaum. Well, there it is. Here's a picture of the Sea of Galilee and where these events took place. So you might want to get familiar with your atlas. That can be kind of fun. What other tools are here? Oh, lots, but highlighting, text comparison. Let's scroll down though. There's one I want to show you right here at the start, can be helpful. Favorites. Favorites, just like you use in browsers or in other resources, right? Where you can create folders and then within those folders, resources that you are constantly using. So you can navigate quickly to that Bible or your Greek New Testament or your Latin Vulgate. Now, imagine you could have this favorites bar open at any time. Maybe you want to integrate this into your catechism study layout. And, now you have easy access to these Bibles or easy access into, I don't know, the liturgy. And you have these resources here from the Lives of the Saints, the Roman Missal, etc. You can even put here in favorites things like searches. Notice this isn't a resource. It's not a monograph. It's a query that I did earlier. Speaker, Jesus, bread. Maybe I want to save it so I can see where Jesus spoke about blood instead. I can run a quick search like that quite quickly if I just save it here in favorites. You can even save things that are not inside of Verbum at all. Things like websites. And so you want to navigate to go get that free monthly book from Verbum, you can do it here. You want to get to the Vatican or logos.com and check out the wiki page, you could save a link here. Or any other resource that you have in your library, put it on your favorites and you'll get to it very quickly. You don't have to fish it out of your library every single time. Okay, so favorites is worth knowing about. After that, I want to show you some of these tools at the very bottom. So for example, we have this profile menu. Maybe you have a picture of yourself over here, but you can see that you can sign out from this menu. You can perhaps sign back on as a new user. If you're constantly changing users, you'll find an easy access point here. Just notice that this is here in the profile menu. Finally, we have this panel menu. A couple things to take note of right from the start. You might like to change the application theme to dark mode. You can do so here. We already mentioned favorites. It's also accessible from this particular spot. But most importantly, and I think many settings are found right here in program settings. So let's open this up. I just want to show you how you can do things like change the application toolbar location. The toolbar is over here on the left right now, but we can change that and we can put it right at the top. If you've been using Verbum for a while, you might be used to having your Go box right up here at the top and it runs horizontally across your screen in this way. Great, that's a great way to do it. Let's go back to that panel menu. Let's go back to program settings. There's one more thing right at the start of your using this new program you might want to set. The language, right? Maybe you are more comfortable in Spanish, for example. Do you know you can set the entire tool, Verbum Bible Software, to Spanish? And so you're going to want to do so here. Turn it to French or German if that's your mother tongue. While we're talking about languages, let me show you a great new resource. Let's close everything and just open from our library a book. I'm going to open Lawrence Feingold's book on the Eucharist. Here it is. And I want you to notice that, look, you can even if you're reading more comfortably in Spanish or in French or in German, just navigate to any place in the book and watch this. There's this tile over here. It says open or close the sidebar. I'm going to open a sidebar and I'm going to translate into Spanish a book that I have in my library in English. Look what's happening here. It's translating using Deep L. If I want to see more, I can click this, and it continues to translate these different paragraphs of my English resource. This is a very powerful tool. Of course, it works in the other direction too. Perhaps you have a resource in German, but you want to translate into English. Come here to this this tile and just open it up right here on the side, and you can read it in the language of your choice. All right, guys, that's what I really wanted to say as an overview. Of course, it's time for you to roll up your sleeves and dive right in. Mess things up, move around the furniture. You're going to be living here for a while. You want to be familiar with these tools. I really encourage you to watch the rest of the videos that do a deep dive into the individual tools. Accompany us along the way, and I think you'll see the dividends are big in the end. See you soon.